As Amanda Waller brings together yet another ragtag incarnation of Task Force X, the groundwork is secretly being laid for Absolute Power, DC's big 2024 event. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Suicide Squad Dream Team issue number 1 and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, as we join this brand new 4-part mini-series, we're somewhere in international waters as all of the different members of this brand new Suicide Squad start coming to. Starting with familiar faces, we have Harley Quinn, who is pretty damn surprised to be here right now. As she puts it, I put all this behind me. I don't do that much bad stuff anymore. At most, I get community service. But apparently, whatever this next mission is, it's pretty damn big, and Waller wanted to bring herself in some ringers, even if they haven't, technically broken the law. Because if you've been reading the Titans book or Green Arrow, you'll know that this is just sort of how Waller's been acting these days, more villainous than ever before. But what is this big new dangerous mission, you might be wondering? Well, it seems that the Wall wants her agents to infiltrate the island nation of Gamora. Yes, that Gamora from the Wildstorm universe. An island nation that until recently was overseen by their president for life, Henry Bendix. He had only been deposed thanks to the efforts of John Kent the Superman. In a book that came out like 2 years ago, but it's nice to see another writer actually pick up with these ideas and run with it. Apparently, Waller fears that whoever might take over Gamora might not be an ally to the United States and might be untrustworthy with all of Bendix's stockpile of super weaponry. But wait, doesn't the island nation have itself a giant energy shield around it? How exactly is the brand new Suicide Squad gonna sneak in? Well, this is where the Dream Team part of this new title comes in. You see, it's not just super villains that Amanda Waller has shanghaied into servitude, because she has also managed to coerce Naya Null, aka Dreamer, into working for Task Force X, in hopes that the team will use her power to travel through dreams to enter the island via the dream world. And yeah, when you stop and think about it, Dreamer's powers in the wrong hands are pretty damn terrifying. We also learned that Dreamer has been working against her will for Waller for a little while right now, starting small, of course, sneaking into senators' homes and stealing valuable blackmail material for Waller's own arsenal. Naya absolutely hates the idea that Waller would rather blackmail these evil men in positions of authority than actually punish them. Surprisingly, this ends up touching a nerve with the Wall. She says that heroes like Dreamer will never actually understand what Waller and Task Force X do. They think that peace just happens, that it just falls from the sky. When as far as Waller is concerned, peace and justice only work when you're actively out there enforcing them. Oh sure, this senator is a scumbag, but if he gets outed, he'll just be replaced by another scumbag. At least this way we end up holding his leash and telling him what to do. Now what about the other members of this brand new team? We haven't talked about them yet, and they are something of a mixed bag. We have Bizarro 2, aka the clone of Superman, the one who was in that Red Hood book, and the one for whatever reason people cannot seem to tell the difference between him and actual Bizarro World Bizarro, even though it's very clear this guy speaks in broken English and not backwards. There's also Deadeye, a new character who was invented all the way back in Lazarus Planet backup stories, and who I am 100% only exists because A, they didn't want to bring Deadshot back from the dead, and B, because they didn't want to promote Bloodsport to match the Suicide Squad movie, so instead they've given us a whole new character who is basically a fusion of both. Oh, and also he's Archie Waller, Waller's nephew. The last two members of the team are actually probably the most interesting. There's William Talkman, the Clock King, who is actually fascinated by Dreamer's abilities to not only travel through the dream world, but also how her connections to dreams allows her to see the future, though as she admits it's not 100% a science, which depresses the Clock King, who's always about planning his life down to the literal second. Oh, and then there's Black Alice too, the magical muscle of the team, who they make a joke that she doesn't actually say anything until the team has actually touched down in Gamora. Things go from bad to worse the second the team actually does make it to Gamora too, by the way. First and foremost, they actually ended up killing the poor guy whose dreams they used as a tunnel onto the island. Dreamer admits that even she doesn't fully understand, and how she never actually tried to dream travel that many people until right now. Furthermore, despite Waller telling the team before they left that Gamora had fallen into the hands of dangerous insurgents, as soon as they look outside, they see that the island is pretty normal with everyday people just living their lives. Oh geez, Waller lied to her team again? Who could possibly have seen something like that coming? These two setbacks end up really splitting the team down the middle, with the likes of Bizarro hating the fact that they killed someone. After all, Bizarro still very much sees himself as a hero and ends up flying away. Waller doesn't bother blowing up his head, though. In fact, did she bother to put bombs in any of these people? She probably should have. Though, of course, it's actually Naya who ends up taking it harder than absolutely anyone. In fact, she ends up completely breaking down and opening up to Harley Quinn, of all people, who reminds us, oh yeah, Harley Quinzel used to be a psychiatrist, right? Listening to people's problems was literally her job once upon a time. Dreamer says that this isn't actually her first dead body, that the first dead body she actually saw was her mother's, and how it still very much haunts her to this day, and how Waller only managed to shanghai her into servitude by threatening to out the existence of her secret alien community. Harley, very surprisingly, actually ends up offering some insight that you might not expect, saying that this whole superhero thing is kinda like bird watching. You don't always get the one you want, but so long as you keep your camera around your neck, you never know when you're going to snap something great. Basically, she's saying, hey, you mess up even as a superhero, but you just gotta be ready to make it right. And even though Dreamer unknowingly killed this guy, there's still a good chance she can ultimately save the day and try and make things a little bit better. Dreamer ends up repaying Harley's kindness by opening up and being honest to her about her horrifying vision of the dark future that is coming down the pipeline. How Waller will be responsible for even more deaths, and how she's not sure how she can stop any of it. It's on that note right there the comic comes to an end, everybody. And so that was Suicide Squad Dream Team issue number 1, everybody, and overall I thought this one was pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. I'm a big Suicide Squad fan, so I always knew I was going to buy it on that merit alone. I've also enjoyed Dreamer when I've seen her show up in backup stories and special issues. In fact, having the new Suicide Squad book kind of be a stealth Dreamer solo series is actually kind of an inspired idea that lets them kill a couple birds with one stone. Unfortunately, that kind of ends up being my main problem too. And that is that this first issue ends up having to spin like several different plates at once. It's a Dreamer book, it's a Suicide Squad book, it's the setup for Absolute Power. It's also kind of a sequel to the John Kent Superman book years after the fact. Which I guess does make a certain amount of sense considering that Dreamer was actually involved in that story with John too, so to see her pick up that story thread and run with it is kinda cool. The actual team composition of this version of the squad is also pretty interesting too. We got muscle, we got old faces like Harley, we got new faces like Deadeye who are going to have to try really hard to win me over, and we got fan favorites like Black Alice and Clock King. Ever since she first debuted in the CW universe, it's clear that DC Comics always did see some potential in Dreamer, and they certainly like the fact that Nicole Maines, the actress who portrayed her on the show, always seems to be game to come back and write the character. In fact, come to think of it, at 4 issues, this will actually end up being the longest series that Maines has written for DC, and I wish her the best. I'll certainly be coming back for issue 2, and I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.